Hello, today's April 20th, and I'm delighted to be here with Arlene Pietranton, the CEO of the American Speech Language Hearing Association. I'm Mark Engel with Association Management Center. Arlene is also the past chair of ASAE and the Key Award winner, which is the highest honor in our profession, and the current chair of CES, which is the Council of Engineering and Scientific Society Executives. We're delighted to be with Arlene. Arlene, how are you and your family and your colleagues holding up in this situation we're in today?
These unprecedented times, right? Well, it's good to see you, Mark, and thank you for asking. All in all, I'm really grateful to say that my family and I and my extended community of ASHA colleagues and are really, I think, faring incredibly well. There's a lot of disruption, obviously, a lot of changes. For a while, there was an intense degree of urgency around things we needed to do or do differently. But we are very fortunate, to the best of my knowledge, within my family and our ASHA staff community, we've had no instances of COVID-19 virus. We are able to carry on with most of the work, almost all of the work that we need to be doing.
So you speak of trust, and I'm thinking of two elements. One is your volunteer leadership's trust in staff, and secondly is the members' trust in ASHA to help the guidelines of how is this going to impact the delivery of service with clients. Can you speak to both of those?
Yes. So, because we've had conversations over the years, we've been very intentional about our culture. Mm-hmm. And it started with a focus on our national office culture. And I believe the way that staff work together also influence the way that staff and volunteers work together. So it really is a very collaborative culture of trust and partnership. I know this may not be the right approach for every association, but I have been so grateful for the trust that our board has and the trust and support from our board of directors at this time. I mentioned kind of this phasing of decisions, safety, ongoing business continuity, identifying and meeting member needs. As we've gone through, and there's a lot of complexity in each of those areas, but as we've gone through those, the decisions around each of those have been made by staff and conveyed to our board. And we've made a point, I in particular made a point of keeping the board appraised. This is why we need to go all remote. This is when we're going all remote. Do you have any questions? The board was clear in their understanding and their support. And then when we went into the phase of these are the member needs that we're identifying, and this is what we need to do about them, including developing new resources and holding town hall meetings and virtual chats, as well as providing an ASHA Learning Pass free, a decision that has the potential of foregone revenue of up to $3 million. Again, when I informed the board and said, these are the decisions we're making. Do you have any questions? Do you feel that we need to convene a meeting or hold a call to? And they said, no, you're doing the right things. We understand. We support you. Keep us posted. So I've been really grateful that along the way to make those decisions in order to make them quickly and to move on to handling the next urgent thing. The approach, the dynamic that we've had with ASHA's board of directors is one where they trust our, what we call facilitating team, to involve the right mix of staff to make these decisions and to keep the board informed.
So Arlene, as we know, associations are so instrumental in helping set guidelines and standards for the practice that our community supports. What's the implication with ASHA and how your members are going to be serving their customers?
So I think there's huge implications for us. Prior to this pandemic, a relatively small number of audiologists or speech language pathologists were engaged in delivering their services remotely through telepractice, telehealth, telemedicine, whatever different terms you might want to use. With the need to close schools, about half of our members work in K through 12 settings, with all the disruptions in healthcare, where some of the important but perhaps more routine ongoing kinds of service delivery have had to be addressed in different ways in order to protect capacity for dealing with COVID-related illnesses. So I would guess, and this is just a guesstimate, but I'd guess probably pre-COVID-19, it was maybe 5 to 10% on a recurring basis, whether it was their primary mode or not. On a recurring basis, they delivered some of their services remotely by virtual means. I think now it's probably 75 to 80%. So that's a huge change. So going forward, I think, although none of us, of course, would ever have wanted these circumstances to happen, I think one of the impetus from the impact of this experience going forward is going to be for us to look differently at what services can be and should be provided virtually, so that it helps decrease the burden of travel, or it helps with time management, helps to connect individuals who might need services of someone with a particular area of special knowledge and skills, who may not be available in their immediate community. So I know we're going to be looking at service delivery in a very different way. We're also going to need to look at preparing the next generation of the workforce. This has been hugely disruptive for graduate programs, the master's and doctoral programs in audiology and speech language pathology. So we need to look at what are the resources, to what extent are we prepared with technology options like simulation to really assure a quality education. To what extent are there other modes of clinical experience that we can provide for students, so that going forward, hopefully there won't ever be another experience like this, but we really need to understand what can we do now to mitigate the possibility of another disruptive event.
So my last question for you is, can you offer a few words of encouragement to our association leadership out there, staff leadership out there in this time?
Absolutely. There are difficult times, personally and professionally. None of us would ever have wanted or expected or wanted these kinds of circumstances. But we have a responsibility and a resilience within this community to, fundamentally, associations exist. We make for a better, safer, smarter world. And we do that through serving as platforms and conveners for our fields. There's an association, as we all know, for every profession, for every field out there. And now more than ever, we need to step up and we need to serve as the conveners and the platforms and help bring the best minds in our fields together to say what's different and what does it need to look like going forward. And that's fundamentally what associations do. So
Arlene, I want to thank you, and I'm not sure if I appreciate your friendship or your mentorship more. So thank you for sharing with us today.
Well, and I hope it goes both ways, Mark. So thank you for that.